This is the Triad Podcast Network.
Hi, everyone. God bless you. I just say God bless you proactively or because I know that somebody's out there probably sneezing if they're listening to us outside. Maybe somebody's listening to us doing yard work and they've just got sinuses full of pollen right now.
Yes,
And
tis the
so
season.
I'm just saying bless you to somebody
Yep.
because good chance that if you're listening to us in April in the Triad of North Carolina, you're
You were
full of
sneezing.
pollen and you're sneezing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair to say?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I thought you thought I was going to sneeze. And I'm like, I'm not. Oh, wait. Yep. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
just a preemptive bless you.
That's
So,
a wise
Gesundheit.
beginning.
Yeah, Gesundheit. We're here with Blake Ginther in the middle of spring, or the early parts of spring, not the middle of spring yet, but spring has sprung. If you listen to one podcast with us, with Blake and the Ginther Group to talk about real estate, if you listen to one podcast all year, this is the one you want to listen to. Our first one since spring officially started. There's a lot to discuss, Blake. I want to talk to you about the normal things that happen and the not so normal things that happen in spring. But also, I mean, look, there's this elephant in the room of what's happening in our geopolitical climate
Mhm.
and how it's affecting our everyday life. We've talked about this on a couple of episodes with Jennifer Johnson on the financial side. We know what it's doing in terms of our spending in everyday life, especially if you're going to the pump. But look, how is this affecting the way people make decisions when it comes to real estate? How is this affecting what people do in terms of their decisions and what they're trying to predict when it comes to interest rates and their timing? Blake,
Yep.
there's a lot to get into today. Where would you like to start, my friend?
Yeah. I mean, I think probably right out of the gate, I want people to know that you're not going to hear doom and gloom in any capacity from me, but you're also not going to hear sunshine and rainbows either, because I think both of those would be incorrect, in my opinion. Obviously, there's going to be some prognosticating about what we think is going to happen, and I've been saying for the last 4 months, there were going to be 15% more sales. Guesswork that I had been hearing this year than last year. I didn't see data that made me think that. Now I see data that makes me think the opposite. And the listeners need to know, like, we had the country on average has around 5 million, wants to see around 5 million real estate sales a year, somewhere between low 5 millions. We saw 6.1 on record, but there was about 700,000 new construction houses that were not included in that 6.1. So we almost had 7 million sales in 2021. That was the record. The last time we had that many sales, everybody breathe through this comment and don't hear this the wrong way, was 2006. Okay. So don't hear that the wrong way. That's just the reality. And so
Doesn't
then,
mean we're heading for a crash. That doesn't mean we're
not at
heading for
all.
a crash.
Well, if anything, we've already lived in it, because our this version of that quote unquote crash is just a lot less sales, right? We saw it in '07, '08, '09, and 10, 4 years straight of record low sales at that time. Well, that record was broken these last couple of years. We've basically been at $4 million total sales as a country, which is a million and probably closer to 1.5 million short of what we should see. So, and I believe we'll see it again because for a variety of reasons. Actually, Adam, I made your eyebrows peak up before we hit record because this segues into where I actually think that the longer this year goes on, the higher the likelihood of the interest rate being closer to 7 than 5 is more reality. We're already ticked back up. We were in the upper fives. We're now in solidly into the sixes, 6.25 ish, 6 3/8. I hope we live here for a while, but if it trends either direction, I would put my money, if I were a betting man, on it going up, not down at this point for a variety of reasons.
Okay, and I'm gonna park there for a moment, even though we have a lot to get into. But yes, let's jump right into the thing that I thought was most surprising that we talked about before we started recording. To me, that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around what you just said because I see you can call it inflation or you can just call it the rising cost of everything because of some of the effects happening overseas. And gas prices are certainly one of them. Manufacturing, another one. And all of it has to do with the different costs of transporting. And so
Yeah.
everything's costing more right now. Why would interest rates be on their way up potentially if because we saw that when we were dealing with inflation, the Fed could lower interest rates to try to curb inflation. I realize we're talking about different interest rates. You're talking about real estate. You're talking about mortgage lending, and so
Right.
explain it to me why you think this is where we're headed.
Well, there's two real hard factors into what impacts real estate interest rates, lending interest rates, and those are the Federal Reserve rate and the Treasury bond and the bonds. And so the two of them are what dictate what is set and where banks want to set those rates. And the challenge is, first and foremost, spending isn't. They wanted to see, right. They wanted to see inflation come down, so they wanted people to spend less. And for a second there, it was happening. Well, now, not to the people's fault, they're spending more. So spending, unfortunately, is trending up. But again, more on the necessary items, not on the uh, unnecessary, right? The I don't know what the right term is, but so that factor is one thing. But the bigger thing is the bonds are also probably getting to a point where they can't lower. The government is not in a stable enough place for them to be able to lower these rates. So I think that we're going to see. I don't want to doom and gloom this at all. I don't think we're going to see anything above a 7. But I think people were thinking the other way, that it was going to be close to 5, and honestly, it might have been if we hadn't have gone to war. Like it was trending that direction, and now it is not.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're not just making a guess here. I know you're doing this based on data and historicals, and so yeah, you are using a lot of information to make this projection.
By the way, this
So
projection isn't good for me. I
I
don't want.
know that
I
that's
don't.
right. And
I don't want this. Realtors want low rates. So be clear. I want it to be. I don't want 3% again because that was bonanza. But I would love to see 5%. Selfishly, purposefully, I would love to see 5%. Um, I don't believe that's going to happen. And if you're a buyer who's listening to this, considering purchasing in the next 6 to 18 months, I think you will have wished you bought the now. Well, frankly, you would have wished you could take a time machine back to the beginning of this year. But for sure, where they were in the fives, upper fives, and I think they're still in the low sixes. But I think that by the time we get into the summertime, they will be in the mid to upper sixes, and people will go, darn it, it's only 0.5% or 0.75%. It really doesn't move the needle that much, and we will all be refinancing in a few years when we actually are back in the fives.
yeah. Yeah, so that was what I was going to ask is, I mean, it's not great news for people in your line of work, but yeah, what should happen on both sides of the equation? Sellers, buyers, what should people do if this is the way that we're heading?
Well, it's this. This is probably thank you. You teed me up for the perfect segue to the next thing that I wanted to go over, right? Which is the split market that I think we're in, right? Where um the everybody knows the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the business is done by 20% of the people, and this is true in like a lot of industries. It's becoming that 80-20 rule is turning into buyers and sellers, sellers in particular. I'd say 20% of the sellers are loving their process and getting, quickly selling quickly in multiple offers. By the way, multiple offers don't mean crazy bidding wars anymore. For everybody who says I don't want to be in a bidding war, stop it. That's probably not what you mean, because that means you don't want to be buying one of the sought after houses. What it means is you don't want to have to go crazy and over pay, which is not happening. Most bidding wars are bringing asking, slightly above asking, and just strong terms, right? As far as due diligence monies and dates, they're not equaling stupid due diligence monies and way over asking price. But the sellers that are doing all the right stuff, Adam, like, I mean, when we say there, a lot of sellers who are using, by the way, our renovation program is in full swing. It is exhausting. I actually said to my wife last night, I'm like, gosh, this is the first time in a long time. I'm like, should we keep doing this program? It is working us to the bone. We are doing a lot of renovation programs on people's houses. I mean, and to be clear, like, this is essentially just extra time, our money. We do charge an extra percentage point or two, depending on how much people borrow. Candidly, bluntly, we would probably net more per our hour, per hourly, if we didn't do the renovation program. But we're doing it because of what we're talking about. Sellers that are doing the right things, putting in the work to position the house optimally, whether it's finally doing that bathroom that you've been putting off, or doing, frankly, redoing the kitchen countertops and backsplash that you thought were updated, but they're like 9 years old and nobody does tumbled marble backsplashes anymore. Like, there's all kinds of little things that change the way a house feels. And you didn't have to worry about that a couple years ago. You did pre-COVID, and you do again. Or you have to price more aggressively, meaning i.e. lower than most sellers want. So it's one of those two things. Or you're going to be on the 80% that is going to take several months. By several months, I mean 3 or 4 or 5 months to sell.
With a couple price drops in there too, probably.
Oh, for sure. Several price drops.
Springtime brings so many special occasions, so why not spring into Dewey's for all your celebration needs? From custom, unique cakes to balloons and party tableware to the perfect gift, Dewey's is your one-stop shop in the Triad. Even if you don't have a big event on the horizon, it's always a great day to stop by your local Dewey's Bakery, especially on Mondays for a free Cake Square Day. No purchase necessary and available all year round at any of their Triad area locations in Winston-Salem at Thruway Shopping Center and Renolda Manor, and in Greensboro at the Friendly Shopping Center. Need to place that order now? Visit local.deweys.com. Our friends at Dewey's are always finding great ways to give back to our local community, providing millions of dollars to nonprofits. Your organization can also partner with Dewey's to raise money. Just email cake@deweys.com to learn more. Don't miss the chance to make your event even more special with an order at local.deweys.com. Dewey's. Celebrate every day.
It's time to get serious about your financial future. It's never too early, but it could be too late to get started. And that's oftentimes the hardest part, getting started. How much do I save? Where do I invest? Do I save for college or retirement? How much for each? And who do I talk to about it all? Okay, we'll keep things simple for now and help you answer the last one. We recommend you begin with a local financial advisor, and that's Jennifer Johnson of Three Magnolias Financial Advisors. She'll sit down with you for a complimentary introductory consultation and go over all of your questions. Get started on the path to achieving your financial goals. Visit 3magnoliasfinancialadvisors.com or call 336-701-1600. Get comfortable with your financial future. 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors. Retirement, financial planning, and investments. Securities offered through Private Client Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors. 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors and Private Client Services are not affiliated. Private Client Services is under separate ownership from any other named entity. We've had the conversation a lot of different ways in terms of, hey, what are the things that stand out? What do buyers mostly care about? Where should you focus your attention in terms of whether it's renovations or otherwise? What are some things that could be different this time around that says, okay, these are the things that year after year get your home noticed. These are the things in 2026 that get your home noticed more so than the way than how they were in years past.
It's funny, Adam. I don't know if the things have changed. Like I would say, for example, now when we renovate people's houses, we're probably putting in quartz versus granite in most price points. That's a slight change. Right now, we're probably putting in um, more today's version of backsplashes, which is not going to probably be a simple subway. It's probably going to be a print backsplash, a little more going on. Um, and pops of color on cabinets versus just going white, like those little cosmetic choices, or go back to some natural, right? Some darker natural wood is coming back, or has been back. So there's like certain like design things that have changed, but like it's still gonna and like it always has been. It's gonna be light fixtures. It's gonna be tops and back, tile. It's gonna be flooring. It's gonna be cosmetics. And it's because of what we talked about in the beginning of this podcast. If people are tight on their dollar, which most people are, then they're going to not be able to update the home. They if they're already being pushed on their budget, and between taxes, insurance or taxes going up, insurance going up, and prices going up, and now mortgage rates going up, everyone's going to be a little pushed on their budget. So if they're going to be pushed on their budget, the one thing they don't want is to have to renovate or update certain things and go also lose some of the cash. So, I think, and it all makes sense, right? I mean, ultimately, none of this is like that surprising when we talk it out. It's just, I'm going to say one other thing. This is more of a societal thing. For the longest time, the whole work smarter, not harder thing, right, was such a COVID thing. And everybody, I feel like as a society, and if you're listening to this, I promise I'm talking to myself, not to you. Don't hate me. We got a little lazy, Adam. I think as a society, I think that life got a little challenging mentally because of what we were in, not challenging physically. And so, and I'm not discounting that challenge being real. I'm just kind of stating what my reality and what I noticed from a society, not just my industry, a lot of industries. And we're back to most industries, and most people are working harder for, if they're lucky, the same amount of money. Honestly, I think most people are not necessarily making more, and their costs went up, and they're working harder. And so it's like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to make an adjustment. And I think the same can be true as this pertains to a real estate podcast for sellers and buyers. Like, get ahead, make the adjustment. Like, yeah, your neighbor sold in a crazy bidding war for a price you can't get, and your house might be better. But guess what? Like, that's not reality. And, that's not our current reality. And by the way, you don't have to sell, but it's probably not going to be the reality for several more years. Like, we're here for a while. So those that need to sell, do it. If you don't. Right. And I've been saying that for, gosh, at least a year and a half, 2 years now. But I think that is when people hear me say like just readjust the expectations back to like the normal way. I think that if you're not a need to sell seller or a need to buy buyer, then yeah, you don't have to. You can just say, good thing I don't have to buy right now. Good thing I don't have to sell right now. But we're here for a while.
Yeah. And don't make that decision. Don't put it off because you're waiting for the right time. That may never arrive in terms of how you've built it up in your head.
I have heard consumers say, I'm going to hold off. It's a soft market. When are you thinking it's going to be a hard market? Like, if soft is bad, when do they think it's going to be a not soft market? I'm genuinely curious, because I've heard people tell me that their friends, I've not been able to be in the room when I've heard that said. Because what I would say to that, to a seller who said, I'm going to hold off, it's a soft market, is just to clarify, when in your mind, when is it not going to be soft? If this is, tell me what soft means to you. And then when are you thinking it's going to be different?
What would someone typically say to that? Like, how would someone classify a market as soft?
I am genuinely curious. I think if we play this out, what I'm just have to guess when people say that is that the vast majority of homes are back to taking several months to sell.
Mm.
Average home needs a price reduction, and it's selling 3 or 4% from asking price. But I think the hard part is people forget that actually is all better than what it was a couple of years pre-COVID. Like, this data is still better than what it was from basically '07 in Winston-Salem, from '07 to 2019. We're basically back to pre-COVID, and it was trending up. And that's what's ironic, right? It was trending up. So when I say we're pre-COVID, I mean 18, 19, which was the best our market had been since '06.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're actually in a pretty darn good market. And that's where my mind goes, is like, I think people are going to be disappointed if they hold off selling now and sell in a couple years from now because they thought now was soft. I don't know if that, like, I think we'll have more inventory. The more inventory we get, the softer the market gets.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not soft. It's not crazy, but it's not soft.
Yeah, if it's about perspective, and it's a conversation of relativity, because if you're comparing it to 2021, yeah, then it's a soft market.
True.
But that's not reality, like you said. This is reality. This is not coming on the heels of a pandemic.
I know. I feel like I say this, like, a version of this every time we talk, but for different reasons. And I think, I think the number one thing I wanted people to hear me say today was, like, buyers don't wait. Sellers, like, absolutely. If the home still makes sense for you, or you can make it make sense for you, and you like that interest rate and you like your payments, I mean, then yeah, now might not be the year to downsize, right? It might not. And frankly, that's why I think we're going to have less sales this year, because it might not make sense.
Yeah. Do you find that there are locations that are more attractive this year than they have been in the past?
I do think location is, and this is also a pre-COVID thing, right? I mean, pre-COVID, West End, Sherwood, Buena Vista, Ardmore, pockets of Clemens, pockets of Louisville, like, they were the, if you're there, you're selling market. And we're back to that. And so like, location has always mattered. It mattered. It didn't actually matter as much in COVID, but to the point, like, to that, I don't know if that's your direct question, Adam, but, like, it matters a lot more now than it did for several years.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it always matters, and it's maybe to a degree it matters more now. I'm curious though, are there any other areas that you would put in that list of desirable locations?
I think you can say that
Like
because of,
the up and coming places that are
yeah,
becoming more attractive.
I would say, I've been saying this for a long time. I think when Town gets the Beltway, and it's not if, people keep trying to say it's if, when the Beltway, the Western Beltway comes, it will change the west side of town, the inconvenient, air quotes, inconvenient west side of town. So I do think Tobaccoville and Town are going to, I can tell you definitively, because I look at Rural Hall and Walkertown, and those values have changed dramatically. because their convenience has changed dramatically. So I think that Rural Hall and excuse me, Tobaccoville, Pofftown, and parts of Louisville and Clemens, but Louisville and Clemens have been pretty good. So inconvenient Louisville, which is like a lot of people kind of just throw in with Pofftown. Um, Frankly, we're a little spoiled when it comes to locations and like travel, right? 10, 15 minutes tops for most people. And those areas are like 20 minutes. And for that extra 5 to 10 minutes, it's just a deal breaker for a lot of people. Well, when the Beltway comes, now it will be 10 to 15 minutes for those inconvenient spots currently. And we're probably, no more than a handful of years away from that thing being done. And so if people bought now while it was inconvenient, they'd have to potentially live with the construction, which would be a pain. But there will be a bump for those values.
Say that would pay off though. That would absolutely
there will
pay
be
off.
a bump. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, we always go to a lot of the same places, and those areas are still desirable. The ones that you mentioned, Ardmore and West End and Sherwood, and those Buena Vista, those are the places that are always attractive and will remain to be so. But look, I mean, as more and more people move to this area, move to this state, there are going to be places that continue to rise up. And I think what you're saying there makes a lot of sense because of the incoming added convenience that isn't going to happen overnight, but it's headed that way.
It's financially earmarked, right? The money is there. And people who like to say, well, is it there? Yeah, it's there. And they've already eminent domained most of the property. So like, it's not if. The people I live on that side of town, right? I live on the Beltway side, and I hear people say, "Oh, I don't know." It's happening. It's happening.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's people. You got your marching orders if you're looking for an opportunity potentially. So, Blake, great stuff, man. I know you guys are whether it's the renovation program you're doing or just the everyday grind of spring real estate. You guys are in it and working hard and helping people do the things they want to do when it comes to their homes. So if folks are out there and want to get a hold of you and your team, how can they do so?
Yeah. And by the way, real quick, I will also say we had the best Q1 we've ever had. We're going to have the best Q2. We're on pace to having the best Q2 we've ever had. And I don't want like any of this to be doom and gloom. Like it's not. I promise I don't want anyone to take that away so, and you will find your success as a buyer or seller in our current market like you can in any market. So just little plug, and to continue the plug, they can call us at 336-283-8689, 283-8689, or see the hundreds of reviews my mother has written at theginthergroup.com.
Yeah, she's very kind. She's very kind.
She's written
a lot of other
names.
people out there that have had experiences with the Ginther Group are also very kind, myself included. Nothing but 5 stars.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, all right, my friend. All the best. Hopefully, you get through the weekend without too much annoyance from the pollen, and it'll be out of here soon enough. And yeah, it's here, my friend. Hang in there.
Oh, it's here. You too, brother.